Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Alec Baldwin settles lawsuit. Before you get your knickers into a twist, it is not any of the lawsuits related to the Rust production. Nevertheless, it's very interesting the circumstances surrounding something that seems so petty, a New York City parking spot brawl. This is a lawsuit that sprang out just about a battle for a parking spot. In fact, in front of Baldwin's home. And so I'm kind of interested in your opinion on this particular episode. The incident that led to this lawsuit happened on November 2nd, 2018. It's taken about 3 years to settle it. And the question is, do you think that he's going to do the same thing? Even does he need to do the same thing with regards to the lawsuits from Mamie Mitchell, Serge Svetnoy, and so on? What do you guys think? Before we get to the rest of today's episode, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started. So, based on an article from page 6, we kind of go into the backstory of this particular lawsuit. And quoting from the article, it says, on Monday, the pair, that is the person, lodging the suit and the defendant, but, it was a suit and a countersuit. I think Baldwin accused his accuser, it's just an impossible name to pronounce, Wojciech Sierzowski. So I don't know, do you want to give me some advice on how to pronounce that? Anyway, let's just call him Woj. Woj, I think, kind of accused him of assault or battery or something, and Alec Baldwin countersued, accusing him of defamation, I think. So that is who the pair refers to. And so yesterday, both of these dudes told a judge in the Manhattan Supreme Court that they'd settled their claims against one another. And of course, the terms of the deal have not been disclosed. Further on in the article, it refers to Baldwin and Woj having agreed to resolve all litigation concerning the incident that occurred between them on November 2nd, 2018. The terms of the resolution are private and confidential. Neither party will have any further comment. Now, one thing that I think one certainly got to ask is, did the Rust debacle, did that have any impact on Baldwin settling? So in other words, if Rust didn't happen, and if it didn't happen when it did, would Baldwin have settled with this guy? What do you think? The other aspect is Baldwin has a legal team probably behind him. What do you think that they advised him to do? Because there are kind of lawsuits mounting up. Don't you think the advice may have been, we need to, prioritize the most important lawsuits and kind of try and make the others go away? In other words, we've got our work cut out for us. Let's prioritize. Let's get rid of the less important or less damaging lawsuits and focus our energies on the battle ahead. Does that make sense? So again, the question I want to ask you is, can we expect the same result, do you think, the same outcome in the Rust imbroglio? Are we also going to have a scenario 2 or 3 years down the track where there's suddenly an announcement, they've agreed to resolve all litigation, the resolution is private and confidential, neither party will have any comment, so it's going to be a sort of a non-disclosure agreement. The surprising part, I think, in terms of this, seems like a very small, silly spat between Baldwin and this other guy, was that in 2019, so a couple of months after it actually happened, Baldwin actually pleaded guilty in terms of the incident to harassment. I don't know whether one can say the same for Wodge. Did Wodge also plead guilty to anything? But the fact is, Baldwin pleaded guilty to harassment over the incident in January 2019. That's quite early. So in November, it took place, November 2nd. And by January, so within 2 to 3 months, he had already pleaded guilty. And so what happened to him, he was sort of kind of given a slap on the wrist. He was sentenced to anger management classes, and he had to pay a $120 fine. This was, almost 3 years ago, right? And so the words anger management kind of come up. The article also refers to him as notoriously volatile and all that kind of thing. Now, I'm sure Baldwin would like to keep the Rust allegations quiet and also to be the only voice sort of drowning out all the other little voices. Would you say that he's succeeded so far? Bear in mind, for an actor more than for a lot of other people, reputation and image is really important. A bad press can be a significant eroder of the shine on your star on, Hollywood Boulevard or wherever it is. You know what I mean? Good publicity shines that halo, bad publicity taints it, tarnishes it. So it may be that if he does settle or if he does negotiate, it will very much be conditional on non-disclosure and limiting the bad press he's already had. Do you think quiet settlements, that settlements plural, are on the cards in this particular case? So, I think you've got to look at whether he has a case, whether the complainants have a case against him. And I think what is really interesting in this particular scenario with Wodge and this battle over the parking space was the way that Baldwin actually handled it, meaning there was actually CCTV footage of the incident, of the sort of scuffle between Baldwin and Wodge, and they kind of both used the CCTV footage to kind of bolster their cases. Wodge said, you can see how he hit me in the face, and the next moment, he fell back a couple of paces and was clutching his jaw immediately, whereas Baldwin kind of said, you can actually see from that footage that I didn't hit him at all. And so it is taking kind of reality, which you could argue in CCTV video footage can be interpreted any way, and basically argued that what he was doing was minimal. And if you just think about Alec Baldwin, is he, if you think about him, he was arguing that this argument was minimal, that it really wasn't a big deal. Well, do you think Wodge would have gone to all of this effort over so many years if he had been touched lightly, or, if it wasn't a big deal, right? And also, do you think someone with a bad temper does things in kind of small measures that doesn't really offend someone? That's the one side to the argument. I think the other side is, I think some people inevitably would look at someone like Alec Baldwin, a multimillionaire, as a potential cash cow, and you might want to exaggerate your claim. You might want to exaggerate what has happened to you. The question really is, what Baldwin did here, if he did minimize what he did, is he not doing the same with Rust? What do you think? So I'm not going to take it further than that. I've got a very interesting update on Alec Baldwin that I'm not going to release today. I've already scripted it, but I'm going to deal with it tomorrow in a lead up to tomorrow's episode of Van Gogh's finale, the art experts version of how Van Gogh died, right, the last months of his life. And there's a very interesting segue into that from Alec Baldwin that I think a lot of you aren't going to expect. I think it's going to be really interesting. I hope you guys are going to follow me into that sort of narrative. It's a little bit of a side issue to the Rust thing, but nevertheless fascinating. It might sort of open your mind to a different way of thinking about true crime, a different aspect to the genre. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.